Absolutely not.
Did you choke her?
Absolutely not.
Did you strangle her?
Without question, no.
Did you beat her?
No.
Did you hit her with anything?
Absolutely not.
And you're not a good liar. You're terrible at it. Terrible.
Hello? Look, lady, she stopped bleeding. I'm trying to do CPR. I can't.
Okay, listen to me. Can you tell me what your address is?
I don't know what to do.
Okay, who is it that's not breathing?
My wife said I'm fucking.
Tell me exactly what happened.
I came over. I can't try.
Okay, what happened?
I found her in the shower.
And she passed away? They're almost there to you. They're responding emergency to you.
There's a blue dumpster. They have to come back. Oh, God. Oh, God.
What is blue?
There's a blue dumpster, big blue dumpster in the driveway. They have to turn in. And if they can get past it, they have to drive past it. If they can't get past it,
they'll park out in the street. They'll just park out in the street.
Yeah, but we're in the back. We're in the far back. They have to get back to the gate and come up the stairs. Oh, God.
The paramedics are on the property, okay? I'm going to stay on the phone with you.
There's a blue dumpster. They have to come back. Oh, God. Oh, God.
What is blue?
There's a blue dumpster, big blue dumpster in the driveway. They have to turn in. And if they can get past it, they have to drive past it. If they can't get past it,
they'll park out in the street. They'll just park out in the street.
Yeah, but we're in the back. We're in the far back. They have to get back to the gate and come up the stairs. Oh, God.
This is the story of David Tronis, a man chasing $1 million dream while hiding a secret so twisted it would end in murder. To his neighbors in Orlando, Florida, David seemed quiet, eccentric, and obsessed with home renovations. But behind the peeling paint and endless blueprints, he wasn't building a future. He was hiding a lie, a dangerous one. His wife, Shanti Cooper Tronis, was everything David wasn't. She was vibrant, successful, and a devoted mother with a heart as big as her ambition. She believed in second chances and thought they were building a life together. But David wasn't interested in building a life with Shanti. He was interested in appearances, in control, and in keeping his secrets hidden behind drywall and designer finishes. Shanti had already survived heartbreak once before. She was strong, accomplished, and deeply loved by her friends and coworkers. But she wasn't naive. Over time, she began to question David's behavior. The never-ending renovations, the excuses, the strange habit of sleeping separately. She sensed the cracks in their marriage, but she had no idea how dangerous it had become. Then came April 24th, 2018, a day that started like any other in Orlando, Florida. That morning, David called 911 from the home he had spent years remodeling. His voice was shaky, his story already falling apart. He told dispatchers he found his wife dead in the bathtub. But when first responders arrived, the scene told a very different story. There was no water, no signs of a fall, just Shanti's lifeless body in the bedroom, and a trail of inconsistencies that couldn't be ignored. To the outside world, David and Shanti always seemed like an odd match. He was reclusive, fixated on the house. She was warm, social, and full of life, but their relationship had been quietly crumbling. And what no one realized was that David wasn't just remodeling the house for them. He was doing it for fame. He was obsessed with the idea of being featured on Zombie House Flipping, a reality show filmed in Florida. It wasn't about love, it was about image. Meanwhile, Shanti was growing more suspicious. Friends say she began confronting David about the money, the renovations that never seemed to end, and their cold, distant relationship. She was starting to see the truth behind the illusion he had built. Then came the breaking point. And just like that, Shanti was gone. Detectives arrived with questions, but David's answers didn't make any sense.
Okay, let me open up things. Okay, is that good? I'm with you. I haven't eaten since this morning. I'm sorry this is taking so long. You are David, I believe. Okay. I'm Detective Teresa Sprague, and this is Detective Barb McClelland. First of all, on behalf of the Atlanta Police Department, we want to say how sorry we are for your loss, David, and also for everything that you're going through. I know this is very traumatic for you. Okay. And it's just a terrible, terrible thing. So, what time is it? Do you know? It's 21:15. 15. Okay. All right. And I know you've been waiting a long time. We've just obviously had a lot to do. To try and figure out what's going on here. Okay. And we need your help doing that. Okay. All right. Can we just, and if you need to take a break, you tell me. Okay. If you need anything at all, you let me know. Okay. Okay. We appreciate your patience. I know you've been in this suit, and I can get you some clothes as well. You understand why we needed to do what we needed to do.
Of course, we want it.
My understanding is that you've been very cooperative. So, we just need to, obviously we need you, or we got to figure this out together. Okay.
Of course.
What is your first name? Is your first name David?
It's David M for Michael. Tronnes, Tronnes.
Tronnes. Okay. And what is your date of birth?
6/29/68.
Okay. How tall are you, David?
6'2".
Okay. And how much do you weigh?
195.
Okay. Blonde or brown hair?
Little of both.
Little both. Okay. Hazel eyes, maybe?
Take Hazel.
Blue? Hazel? Okay.
They're dirty, but
Okay. And your address is where you were today?
218 East Copeland.
Okay. Oakland. And that's a drive?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the zip code there?
32806.
Okay. Is there a home phone?
There is.
Okay.
I can't remember the last four digits. It's 407. The next three are easy. 704, the opposite. And I never call it.
The next three are 704?
It's 407, 704, and then I think it's 2808. It might be 2406, but I have it in my phone. I haven't. We've had it since we were at Briarcliff, and Shanti uses it for work.
Okay.
It's her work line. I never use it.
What is your cell?
My cell is 407 409 9290.
9290. Okay. In her cell?
321 444 8629.
629. Okay. And what kind of phone does Shanti have?
Shanti has an iPhone 8 Plus.
iPhone 8 Plus?
Plus.
Okay. Is there a code on it? No code or pattern or anything?
There is a code when it comes up. It's just ones. So
All ones?
I think now the new ones are 6. The old ones were
So 6 ones?
6 ones.
Okay. All right. iPhone 8 Plus. Is there a color on the cover?
Rose gold.
Rose gold.
There's the covers more. It's just there's a name for it, but it's like a G-Shock kind of clear plastic cover that goes over. You'll see the iPhone through it.
Clear plastic. Okay. And your phone is where?
Phone is on the Dell laptop. It's sitting on the glass study table downstairs, which is the garage. We're doing a renovation. I don't know.
Yeah,
You aren't up there.
yeah, I was there. So you're okay. I did not go where the dogs were. So Your phone is on the glass coffee table where the dogs are.
There's a love seat, a white leather love seat, and a matching sofa.
Mhm.
And in front of that is a coffee table, and we have an old Dell laptop down there. And
Okay, and so your phone is what?
my phone is a ZTE
Okay.
Z Max or Z Max Pro something.
I know there's several phones, so
I also have a another Android phone. It's a Samsung, but I just use it for email and for casting to the TV and music and stuff.
okay. Is there a phone number assigned to it?
There's no SIM card.
No SIM. Okay, so no service and
We were just gonna, we've been running into switching.
Okay. Okay. Um, where were you born, honey? So you said here?
No, I was born in St. Paul, Minnesota.
And when did you move to Florida?
In 2013,
Okay.
about 5 months after I met Shanti.
Did you meet her here or there?
No,
And then I'm lying. Okay. I'm sorry. I need to take your time.
During the interrogation, David Tronis tried to appear distraught, burying his face in his hands, letting out exaggerated sobs. But there were no tears. His body language was forced, his timing suspicious. Each emotional outburst came right after a tough question, especially when detectives brought up Shanti. He wasn't grieving, he was performing.
In 2017, what month?
In February
What day?
22nd.
And that was here in Orange County? Okay. Okay. And you've been, so once you moved to Florida, you've been living together the whole time, just home to home, just with first with the folks, then Briarcliff, and then this residence. But you've been together the whole time. Have you ever broken up?
We had a couple fights. I think when we were living at Briarcliff,
Okay.
we spent a few nights apart.
A few nights.
I just went down to my mom's.
Mm-hmm. So not like it was over, it was just a break. Couple days. What were you arguing about at that time?
Shanti runs her business 7 days a week. She was very, very busy getting it established. And she felt bad. She was technically fired from FTM, which is a parent company of M2M. And she really wanted to make her prove herself. And I think she was their lead consultant. She was their star. They had to fire her for technical reasons because she was doing some work on the side for some of their clients. They couldn't, once they found out, they couldn't let it go. But I know that the relations have been warm since then, and they've even invited her several times to come back and be at least as a consultant involved in their business.
Oh, wow.
If things came back from her. But she's
So when you guys would argue when you would go to your mom, it was just because she was busy all the time, or what would the beef be?
work had a lot of stress involved,
Oh.
and she would sometimes we always agreed, later that she was just overworked and tired and
So she'd get a little snippy or short or yell, scream, what?
just irritable.
Irritable.
Just irritability. And sometimes it's just I'm not. That's not really. I don't really do that. It's not really. I just stand there. So I just. I would just say, "Why don't we take a break?" Or just let it, a little cool down period. And every time we did it, we came back. I think we only did it twice, but we were stronger.
Okay.
We may have only done that once.
And has that happened since you moved where you are now? Because now we've got the added stress of the renovation.
No, we love it. We love we love the we love what we're doing to the house. We love the vision that we had for the house. It's totally, I mean, oh, she wanted, of course, what she wanted so bad. It made me happy. It made her happy. It was a thing that we did together.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to quit her job when we got the house done, or just kind of, slowly phase out of it. And I was going to get my GC license, and we were going to buy and renovate homes.
Club houses. Okay.
I had stuff,
Were you home? You said something earlier. I think you said something about having a great weekend. Were you guys home all weekend, or what happened?
Shanti had to really answer your question. Shanti had her appendix out on February, I want to say 23rd. It was a 10 out of 10. It ruptured and it had an abscess. She sat at RMC for 10 hours with a ruptured appendix before they could get her. And she's been in a lot of pain, and she didn't want to tell Jackson or her clients, but she thought, a couple of times that she would really need to take a break and definitely slow down and definitely not add a whole lot more work. But she could do more if she did to. I'm sorry, I can't talk about it.
That's fine. And that's very normal. That's very normal. Because you're not going to process this for a long time. So I know it feels like a really bad.
We Keith also just our lives are busy. I'm so sorry. I know you're asking simple questions, but Keith does a TV show, a home improvement
Keith, the guy you mentioned, Ori. Okay.
called Zombie House Flipping. And in March, he asked us to be on the show, have our house be one of the homes featured, which meant that we would get a lot of what they call trade outs and promotional sponsorship to do.
Any financial incentive to do that?
Big. That's what they call trade out. I'm sorry, that's what they call trade outs. So they're sponsors. That's one of the things I was working on yesterday, was putting together a list of the sponsorships, the windows, doors, cabinets, and so maybe instead of getting granite, you get quartz, or maybe instead of getting, middle range cabinets, you get high-end stuff. And we're also working on kind of just an amazing open concept stairway in the middle of the house that's going to go all the way up to the bottom. And that was coming together. Keith had given us the assurance on Sunday that we were officially on the show. We were super, super, super excited.
He told you this past Sunday?
Yeah.
So they hadn't started filming?
No, this is a long process. This is a long process.
When did you expect that to start?
He told us that they would be starting on May 7th.
And so they'd come in and start filming?
Mm-hmm.
Would they film you all or just the work?
No. Yeah, it's just the house. They're the stars. They come in.
Shanti didn't like the house. From the beginning, she saw it as unstable, just like the man who owned it. What was supposed to be their dream home had become a never-ending construction site. Rooms torn apart, dust everywhere, promises of completion that never came. She was frustrated, not just with the house, but with David's obsession and the big reward.
It was in the garage, and I brought the bottle of smoothie in.
So you didn't have to go upstairs, or you didn't go upstairs?
I didn't go upstairs.
You didn't go upstairs. Okay. All right. So you leave approximately 11:45. Take the dogs in the white Toyota RAV4 to the Park of Americas on Andes. So far?
Correct.
Okay. Do you holler up, text her, tell her you're leaving? Any communication?
I didn't.
You didn't? So you're assuming she's home because the car's there,
Mm-hmm.
and you had already mentioned you were going to do this, so you did not communicate about that you were leaving.
When she,
She knew. So in your mind, she's there. You don't say anything about, I'm heading out, I'll be back before Jackson needs to be picked up. Is there any communication on your phone with her while you're gone? No? When was the last time you had telephone, text, on any Facebook, any sort of communication via phone with Shanti?
the day before when she told me Jim was coming early to get Jackson,
So would that have been a phone call or a text?
she texted around between 3 and 4 that Jim was coming early.
Jim was coming early?
Mm-hmm. And that helps figure out when she left because I want to say that was shortly after 3, and she left shortly thereafter to go.
To go get him?
Mm-hmm.
So the last communication in any way on the phone would have been Monday
Mm-hmm.
when that communication occurred. And other than that, you would have been pretty much together.
We're together all the time. So
Okay. All right.
it's
So
just hard because now I'm concerned that she wasn't okay when I left.
now you're concerned she wasn't okay when you left?
Talking about it's hard because you're asking me if we communicated, and we were pretty efficient in the morning. She tells me, what she's got planned for the day. I tell her what I have planned. We work on it. We do our little morning strategy session, and then it's who's going to pick up Jackson and what time. So we race through our day to some degree to make sure that we get everything done. And
Okay.
and I wish I would have taken the time to check on her.
Okay.
What?
Okay. So you think you made it to the park before noon or after?
Just shortly after.
Is anyone with you?
Just
Just the dog? Okay. Do you see anyone at the park that you know?
I don't.
Okay.
There are only a couple cars in the parking lot. I have 2 dogs, so I typically look. There's a large dog area which is forested. It's pretty gnarly. But There's a lot of unstable dogs, and there's almost always fights. Then there's a small dog area next to that. I tend to work the dogs there if there's nobody around, and a lot of times that's another reason for going that time of day. There's usually very few people there.
Mm.
But there's a big field off of that between a little reservoir. I think it's a lake. It's just a little reservoir with a walkway around it. And it's a big field between the playground to the lake and the small dog park. And that's where I bring Charlie and Dolly.
Okay. And so you kind of let them run, do their thing, enjoy the park. How long do you think you were there?
We were working pretty hard. I think it was an hour and 45 minutes because I don't think I got home until 2.
Did you have communication on your phone with anyone in that hour and 45 minutes?
No.
Did you text anyone, call anyone? Were you on Facebook, commenting, liking, posting? You don't do that? Okay. So you don't think was your phone with you?
I take a blue, I have a little blue cooler bag. And I could just leave it in there, but I didn't actually call anybody.
I missed that. You said you have a blue cooler bag?
When I go, I take all my personal belongings and I put them in there. So I put the water bottle in there. I put the keys in there when I'm out in the park with the dogs.
Gotcha.
And my phone. And I usually bring a treat for the dogs.
Okay.
Reward treats for the dogs. Their frisbees. Sometimes I take a big shoulder bag with some other stuff for them.
So you took your phone, but you didn't call, text, or do anything online?
Mhm.
Emails? Anything at all?
No.
Okay. I don't know if I asked you this earlier. Is there a code for your phone?
No.
There's not a pattern or any sort of lock on it?
Mhm.
No. Okay.
No.
Do you receive any calls while you're there?
No.
Okay. So you're pretty much just focused on what you're doing with the dogs.
Yeah, and I was checking to see. It's just to see if Shanti calls me or if there's something, you know, urgent, just so I can be reached. But yeah, I'm not that.
Because if she needs you to come back for any reason to go get her son, so you're
Yeah.
checking, but she's not communicating that
Correct.
that is necessary for you to do. That you need to come home or come back early or you're gonna
Yeah,
know.
if she's good, I'm good. That's what I'm saying. If I'm not hearing anything, I'm not. She knows where I'm at, and there's no
Okay.
at that point.
So she didn't reach out to you.
Mm.
Okay. And so you think you got home about what time?
2 o'clock,
2 p.m.? Okay.
2:15. Be very close to me.
Okay. And what's the first thing you do when you get home?
I put the dogs in the kennel. I feed them. Once Sunday, I had moved a couple of plants, and I went out to check on them because it had rained really, really hard last night. The bougainvillea in the driveway was, when it rains heavy like that, it sags down so you can't drive in. So I took the cool brush on the end of a pole and I push it back to get it back up and then kind of locked down. We have construction starting in a couple of weeks, so I'm cleaning the courtyard in front of the greenhouse.
David told detectives he had been at the dog park when Shanti died, a detail he repeated several times during questioning. But that story quickly fell apart. Investigators checked surveillance footage and found no evidence he had ever gone. No one saw him there. His phone data placed him at the house. In reality, while he claimed to be walking the dog, he was home. And according to the medical examiner, that's when Shanti was killed.
3-ish, 3:15-ish, you go upstairs to find out what the plan is to pick up Jackson, right? Is that accurate? Okay. 3 to 3:15. Okay, and what happens when you enter the home? Is anything unusual? When you enter the garage apartment?
So I could hear the water is running, but it's not running. It's not like the sound of a shower running. It's just, it's trickling out of the spout, which is weird because, you know, the only time that she does that is if she's going to take a shower, she would do that to heat the water heaters affixed to the outside of the main house. So it's a long run to get up to that bathroom. Takes a couple minutes, so she normally turns it on, then gets undressed, gets her clothes, does a few things, and then jumps in after it's hot and steamy. But I don't see her. And so we always, when we step in, we always say hello at the bottom of the stairs. So I listen, because if she's on the phone with a work call, I don't announce myself. I just walk upstairs. I didn't hear her. And I could hear the water. I couldn't hear her. I knew something was wrong. That's when I went into the bathroom and I was really sorry.
Because you heard the water and didn't hear her, you felt something was wrong?
I went upstairs. I don't hear her talking on the phone, so I say hello. I don't hear anything back. I can hear water running. She's not saying anything. Doesn't seem right. Sometimes it is hard if you have the water running to hear somebody out there. So that was my assumption.
Okay, so it's one room. You don't see her?
Until
Is
I
that
get
what
to
you're
the bathroom.
Okay. Is the bathroom door open or closed?
Open.
Open. Okay, and so you walk toward the water that you're hearing?
Yeah, walking the bathroom.
Okay. And the door's open, and what happens? What do you see?
I see her laying with her head in the right hand corner. The water is running, but I don't think the drain is closed because if it was, it would be going over, right? So the water's like half full. She's submerged partially, but she's also partially not submerged, and one of her legs is kind of sticking up and out a little bit. And it's just extremely awful.
By the time detectives sat down with David, they had already examined the bathroom, and something didn't add up. David claimed he found Shanti dead in the bathtub, but the tub was completely dry. There was no water, no wet towels, no signs that a bath had recently taken place. No splashing, no soap, no dampness. The entire room was untouched. It didn't support his story. If anything, it contradicted it. To the detectives, it looked staged, like someone had moved her body there after the fact, hoping it would pass as an accident.
Well, it doesn't look natural. Obviously, she fell or something happened. And I I tried to pick her up. I turned the water off. I tried to pick her up. She's stiff. It's hard to pick her up. She's not. It's like a sack of potatoes. You know, it's not easy. She's not moving with me. I grabbed her arms and kind of pulled her this way, and over. I think partially over, and that's when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to carry her. I tried to pull her. I, I was being as careful as I could, and at the same time, I wanted to get her out of the water. I was feeling, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I pulled her out into the other room, and I didn't know what to do. It was hard to move her that way, so I turned her and I held on to her wrist. I thought that I still think that there's something I can do to help. And I'm kind of moving her, trying to get her, to shake her a little bit and trying to get the water out of her lungs. I got her in front of the couch and I had to stop and put her down, and I tried to lift her head up to kind of clear, I guess it's a thing you do if you're going to do CPR or something. And she's not responding. She has blood coming down her hips and on the side of the body. And I'm still thinking somehow I'm still thinking that she's going to be okay. I got that, we had taken the mattress pad off the bed. I set the mattress pad down underneath her and I set her on it and I tried to lift her. I wiped. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what had happened. I had a towel that I had used to pull her out of the shower or out of the tub with. I tried to wipe off. See what was.
Where was the blood coming from?
The left side of her face, here on her cheekbone.
Is that the right side?
I'm looking.
Or is it both?
I don't think so. She had blood. She had blood on the side of her head and down her neck. And when I wiped the part on her shoe, it's her left. It must have been her left. So it's my right as I'm looking at her. Right? I'm looking down. My right is her left. And wipe it. And more blood comes out. The cut on her cheek.
There's a cut on her cheek. Okay. And you're pointing to the right side.
Her eye is all bruised all the way around. Yeah.
So you notice you're pointing to your right. Is that her right?
No, her left.
Her left? So you're saying her left eye was bruised? And that she has blood coming from a cut on her face?
Underneath that eye. On the same side. And she has blood along under her nose.
Okay. We'll move back. You have just
And the water in the tub was tinged with blood.
and you said it's hard. How full was the tub?
It wasn't flowing over the top. It was very close, but not quite. Maybe it was after, maybe because I was picking her up, but it was close to the spout, the drain. There's a
The auto drain that
drain under that. It doesn't look like it didn't look like it was that high.
okay.
And the water's not coming out
Onto the floor.
onto the floor, but it's also not coming out at full pace either.
Was the shower on?
That was the word. That's what I was saying before, is that if I were to walk in and hear the shower going, I know, that makes sense. But to walk in and hear that, it either means she's getting ready to get in or not. And I guess I was under the impression that at 9:15, when she said she was thinking about getting ready, I had the idea that she normally showers in the morning. So I had the impression that that's probably what she was going to do. She normally doesn't shower in the afternoon. So that's why it was all odd. In the afternoon, she's almost always working. If she doesn't have anything to do, she'll watch TV or, come down and hang out with me or do something normally.
So it's the bottom part of the tub that's flowing, but you're saying it's not fully on.
The tub spout, exactly, is flowing. It's not pulled up, which is how you actually shower. That's not on. It's just coming out the spout.
Okay. And is the tub plugged on the bottom?
I think her head and her long hair are on it, and it looks like it's in the middle to me. There's a couple of settings. There's fully closed, close to, and fully open. It didn't look like it was all the way.
Did you manipulate that in any way? Okay. But you did shut off the water.
I did shut off the water and it drained, which tells me I could hear it draining when I pulled her out. I could hear. So I guess this is all weird, right? Because she's in there, the water's on, and it's draining. It doesn't make any. It just doesn't make any sense.
And it's not on all the way. It's on how
It's like lukewarm, so just past half, something like that.
like power wise, is the water fully on or not quite fully on?
It's a dial, so it starts cold, goes to medium temperature, and then goes to full hot, and it's somewhere kind of in the middle of that.
And is it fully on or not?
It doesn't have a full on.
As far as like
It's not dual like that. It just turns one direction. I know what you're talking about. One that would come this way,
right,
and then also
and then
turn. It doesn't do that. It just turns, and it's on, all cold, a mix of cold and hot, or all hot.
And that depends on the flow as well. So if you get to middle, if you go all the way hot, it's going to be more water, or no? Like you're saying, it was trickling. So I'm trying to understand what you mean by that.
It didn't seem like it was. So if you're going to run a tub and you want to fill it up as fast as you can,
All
you
the
have
way.
it all the way
Right.
to the
That's
left.
my question.
There's a spot in between there where there's very little cold, but it's not full hot either.
Okay.
And it seems to be in that spot, but it's hitting her. It's hitting.
So the water's not trickling. It's on
It's on.
when
Yeah.
you walk in.
Yeah.
It's on.
It's on,
Okay.
but it's not filling. It doesn't seem to be running as hard as it.
Okay. I want to walk you back to when you first walked in and you were describing the position. Is she in the tub
Her head is all the way in the corner
over the drain or on the opposite end?
So the drain and the handle are in this end. That's where her head is, and she's on the right hand side, which is basically the corner.
Okay. If you're standing over the tub, you're saying on the right hand side toward the wall?
If you're looking at the tub, it would be the spout and the handle are on your left,
Okay.
and her head is pointed that direction.
Pointed where the spout and the handle are.
Right.
And what do you mean by on the right?
So if you were looking at the spout and the handle on the thin wall, this is the wall that has the long wall.
Mhm.
She's on the right hand side, like the corner
Okay.
is where she's missing.
And is she
But her head is
face up or down? Okay. So she's face down. And the tub, you're saying, is not quite full, but almost full. So is she floating or not?
She is sticking out in the back, very awkwardly. It doesn't look like she's floating. It doesn't look like she's floating now. Because if you think about it, that level of water, if she were floating, she'd be she's down.
Is she submerged?
Yeah.
She's submerged. So she's
Most
underwater?
most of her is submerged. Most of her head and neck are submerged. And at that point, it's a little crazy. I went to grab.
So you said her head and neck is submerged under the water. And so that would mean her shoulders, breasts, stomach are also under? Or no?
Mostly.
Mostly. What part of her was not underwater?
She was on her side a little bit, and I would say it would have looked like her right side was not as far underwater as her left. But not on her head and neck, on her torso, more like her shoulder, and her arm and her arm on the right hand side are sticking up a little bit more. But her head is pretty much down.
Okay, so torso and arm is out of the water or a little bit?
More than the rest of her body.
Okay, and where are her legs?
The Kittywampus, the right leg is like down, but it's bent, and the left leg is doing something kind of similar, but it's kind of the other direction. They're not straight. And at that point,
Are they in the tub?
mostly, but I think her at least part of her feet and maybe her calf are sticking in.
And where are they lying?
The right hand one is within the confines of the tub. The left hand one is it is kind of over the edge of the tub.
Left foot?
Yeah.
Okay. Is she naked at this point or no?
No,
What is she wearing?
she's wearing the same thing she has on. That's what she had on last night.
Do you recall what that is?
Black pair of shorts and a black tank top.
Black pair of shorts and a black tank.
Yeah.
Are those her sleeping clothes, David?
Not usually. Usually she wears a nightie.
Okay. So what type of clothing is that for her? Is it like a
First thing in the morning, or last thing at night, and just around the house, but not really in bed.
but not
Working at home, no one's around.
Did she
That makes
have that
sense.
on when she came down to smoke a cigarette?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So when you saw her last, she was wearing the same clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're saying that her head and face and neck are underwater and her right side is kind of on a slant, so her right side's not as underwater. She is basically, for all intents and purposes, submerged almost completely by up to her torso.
I'm going crazy at that point. It could have been a little bit of, it could have been a little of this, and this is down. Could have been on
Her clothing is wet or not?
Yeah.
Her clothing is wet?
Yeah.
Okay. So her hair is definitely wet, right?
Yeah.
Her clothing, her tank, and her shorts are wet. And she's face down. So the first thing you do is what, if you recall?
I reached out and grabbed. I reached out and touched her right arm.
Do you recall where?
Um, Close to the shoulder, because I can't remember if it's sleeveless or low sleeve, but it's just I tried to. She's looking the other way, and I'm saying her name, and I'm trying to pull her over and just
Okay.
see
So
her.
you're trying to turn her on her back?
Well, she's underwater and she's looking that way down. I'm trying just the first instinct to try to pull her
Mm-hmm. Pull her over.
out and over. Yeah.
Okay. So when you turn her, before you pull her out of the water, you turn her and do you see her face?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the first thing you notice?
Her lips and her eye are both dark.
The lips are dark?
Yeah. Purple, blue, gray.
Okay. And her eye, which eye?
It is her left eye.
And what do you notice about that?
It's all discolored. And there's a cut underneath. She had, there was some blood that was on her leg, in the back, but it didn't, well, it didn't, it wasn't.
You ever had a pen mark? No. Did you write everything well? That is the true event. Thank you. Did you want to look at walk there? Let's transfer things. What did I say? You don't get thank you. Exactly. What? You said there's blood on her, on which leg?
The water is rose colored, so there's blood in the water itself. I can see a spot of blood on her, kind of the back of her right leg.
The back of her right leg?
Yeah, because she's laying on her that's the part of her that's a little bit more out of the water than her other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that's like the first blood that I see. I see the water's red.
Could you tell when she turned over, if she was breathing? or not? Could you tell immediately?
I didn't want to think that she was, but I didn't think that she was at that moment.
You didn't think she was?
But I thought it was, I thought she was going to be fine. And sleep around. I wasn't sure. It didn't, no, it didn't look good if that's what you're asking.
It didn't what?
It didn't look good.
Okay.
It looked scary.
And when you said, when did you notice that she was stiff?
Progressively. At first, this arm, at first it was hard to move her. It was hard to turn her over. That was the first thing that we mentioned. Then I don't know if I grabbed at the elbows, somewhere in the middle of the arm, and tried to pull her, and she seemed stiff then. In other words, it made it very difficult to move her.
Okay.
I tried to lift her, which I wasn't able to really do, so I ended up pulling her kind of up and out.
And you pull her by her arms?
So I grabbed someplace on her arm, tried to get kind of under it a little bit.
You said she seemed stiff?
Yeah. Hard to move.
Did you notice any other injuries besides the blood, the cut, and the eye?
I mentioned the blood on the nose,
Yes.
her lips, her eye discolored.
Okay.
Almost, and she's, okay, she's bloated.
Bloated?
Her face doesn't look right.
Does it look swollen or just bloated? Swollen?
Yeah, it's using the words that honestly, but yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like a whole, like in total.
The whole face.
Right.
Okay. Did you notice any injuries to her extremities, like her arms, wrists, her hands, her legs?
What did they feel like?
No. Did you notice any injuries? Bruising, abrasions, anything, cuts, anything on her arms, her hands, or her legs?
Not at that time. Not until I got her. I don't know where the idea came from, but I had the idea that I was going to pick her up and try to get her out into the other room and either set her on. When you care for somebody, you don't pick them up and set them on the ground.
As the interrogation continued, David began offering long, overly detailed answers, almost too detailed. He described minor moments no one had asked about, repeated timelines, and focused on irrelevant specifics. To experienced investigators, this was a red flag. When a suspect gives too much information, it's often a subconscious attempt to appear cooperative or truthful. But in reality, they're overcompensating. They're trying to control the narrative, fill the silence, and distract from what they're really avoiding, the truth. Genuine grief or shock usually results in fragmented emotional responses. David's calm, excessive storytelling wasn't just unusual, it was strategic, and it raised even more suspicion.
Yes. And my idea is to put her here. And at some point, when I get over to this point, put her in the couch. I feel like now first I'm just trying to get her out of the tub. And then I feel like I have to do CPR or I have to do something. So that's when I think I want to lay her down on the floor. And so I have her hands. So I pull her, I have her hands, and I'm pulling her this way.
Are you carrying her?
I can't carry her.
Okay,
So I tried to lift her out of the tub, and so I ended up using her arms to pull her this way, and then out, and then turned, and then came here to
Is she
here.
face up or down when you're having to do this?
She's face she's face up to get her out of the bathroom door, because that's how I grab her. I turn her and I pull her this way, but I can't keep going, so I grab her arms and she goes the other way, and I pull her with her face. Her face is down, but she's moving better because of the way her arms are. Her arms I'm able to grab onto better. I'm losing her arms the other way,
So when she,
and I'm backing up.
so when you first get her out of the tub and going through the bathroom, you've got her kind of like this.
Yes.
Can you show me on me, if you don't mind, where you're holding her?
I'm either, and I can't remember exactly, because I think just to get her out, the way her arms were down, I had to grab higher
Okay.
up on her arms.
Okay.
But when I got her out of the tub and onto the floor, I pulled her. I had enough space, and I wasn't reaching over a tub trying to pull her, the weight of the water and her all out. And that's when I turn and I grab her the other. She's kind of on her back and side at that point, and I grab her. I turn her the other way. She's face down, but I can hold on to her arms better, and I can move her quickly. And that's when, because it's easier, I tried to get her to the spot.
So she's face down, and you're having it. Is it fair to say you're dragging her? Or,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're dragging her by her. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here?
Once we're out, that's here, because that's the easiest.
Okay.
Because it's
So once she's
this
face
way.
down, it's wrists. It's wrists, both wrists.
Yeah.
Okay. So when she's face down, you're dragging her by her wrists, and you drag.
I couldn't get, when she was laying in the tub, think about her wrists are down here, but I'm trying to move the bulk of her body, which is all up here. So grabbing her wrist is just going to pull her to the end of the tub.
All right.
So I had to get more like under her armpits, to lift her and pull her up. And I don't know if I grabbed her arms or if I put my hands under her armpits and pulled them that way. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But I just know that pulling her hands didn't work there. But it was a lot easier once I got her out to move her that way.
Okay. So when she had to have been drugged from the bathroom exit down the carpet to the couch, and then where do you stop dragging her initially?
Initially, and I don't think this scale's perfect here, but initially her head is in this area. It's not the size of her head. That's just, this is
Right.
roughly in that area.
Okay.
And then next it was here, because I thought I was going to put her on the bed, but that didn't make sense. So I took this and set this here and then pulled her onto it.
And where was that item? So the mattress cover is here. You pull it over here, and then you move her.
I'm able to literally just grab it and pull it. It's that.
It's that close.
I'm right. This seems bigger, but
Right.
keep in mind how small the space is.
Okay. So then is she face down when she's here, or face up?
She's face up, and that's when I start just that's when I really look at her, and that's where I'm thinking I'm going to have to do CPR, so I'm trying to get her in a space where I can do that, and that's when I started to go through the pulse, neck, chest,
Here, or
airway.
when she's moved
here.
here in front of the couch.
And when that didn't seem to work, I couldn't get her airway to do anything. And the first couple of presses here just seemed stiff and rigid. And that's when it's sinking in. It's slowly sinking in how stiff she is. And I'm getting and how cold she is. I'm getting frightened. That's when I got that. I put it here. I pull her. I also got the towel, which was in the tub. And wiped her.
There was a towel in the tub.
Yes.
It's soaking wet.
Yes.
Okay. And it was in with her when you found her, or?
I think it was on the edge of the tub, so half of it was soaking wet and the other half was out.
Okay.
So I grabbed it, and I used the water to. Her face was bleeding badly, and I couldn't see what was going on.
Okay.
I know that I didn't, I didn't know what I should be doing, and that's when I got the mattress covers that are there, put her down, and just that's when like I got a call.
Um, can you indicate for me TV, desk, bed, shanty, couch? Is that accurate?
Yeah, what's missing are there's two tables that nest here. One's just an inch taller than the other one, so they slide under.
Okay.
So it's probably something like tall one, baby one's probably, partially under that one.
Okay.
And there's a walkway. This is the chase and with the sectional.
Into the sectional. Okay. So you just break couch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I make sure I understand. Tables.
Mhm.
There's like okay. TV.
So TV entertainment. This is the beginning of the desk, and I think actually those are the same size. So there's a long section of desk with a drawer here.
Okay, so that's her desk.
Her, she has two monitors. One monitor's here.
Okay.
Her MacBook and other monitor here, and then she has an iMac that's
Okay.
here.
Those are both for her work.
Yeah.
Okay. This is nightstand bed.
So this one goes. This is a glass IKEA table with metal legs,
Mm.
and it goes right up to. There's an inset here. This is rolling. There's a little inset here. This is the nightstand.
Okay.
Then the headboard and the bed. And there's another nightstand.
Okay. So this is bed, nightstand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the closet over here.
And then is this your closet here? Or her son's?
Yeah, we share. We share them. We have a little bit of each, but this is mostly mine, and that's mostly hers and Jackson's.
Hers and Jackson's. She and Jackson share one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are any of your things in the garage?
Mm-hmm.
Like clothing wise?
Absolutely, yeah. Strip of them. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. If you just finish for me, bed, nightstand, and then I think was Leland, and then Shanti was here, and then here. So first she's here.
Here.
Okay.
And I moved her a couple of times because I guess I kept thinking that, I was trying to revive her. I was trying to break her up.
Okay.
It didn't sink in that she was. It didn't completely sink in that she was.
Okay. When you were out doing your work in the exterior of the home, did you possess any garden tools to do that?
In the exterior.
Mm-hmm. Were you in possession of anything besides the pull brush to move the bougainvillea? Did you have any other tools you were working with?
Yeah, I had a hedge clipper. It has a wooden handle.
A hedge clipper? Where is that now?
I believe that it's on the top of the glass shelf on one eye. With it's probably next to a scissors and there's a heavier duty clipper, hand clipper that I usually keep together. That's what I use to trim the stuff.
Were you using any of those items?
I was using the hedge clipper, the bigger one, yesterday and today. I don't think I had anything else.
Were you trimming any hedges?
Just the branches of the bougainvillea,
Okay.
the ones that I couldn't push back up and in.
Okay, so you think you used the hedge clipper today? What about the scissors?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you possess a knife while you were working outside at all?
No. We do have one that we use, and one that I used on Sunday to cut when we move a plant, cut it at the root. Um,
What does it look like?
it's gray, like a two-tone spongy handle with a serrated blade.
And where is that?
It got so that one goes back and forth between the kitchen sometimes and being used for the garden. So it was washed with some of the dishes from yesterday. I think it's sitting on the. It was brought in. It's probably sitting with the near the frying pans on the cooktop. Wow. Oh God, this be back in there.
Do you have a knife with an orange handle?
We have a small chef knife that has an orange handle, and I think I was using that on Sunday as well.
To do what?
I think that one was there's a little side yard underneath the water heater by the gas meter that goes around the house. And I can't remember exactly what it was. I think there was a bromeliad that I was cutting. I moved 2 bromeliads from that area, one to the front, the driveway, and one to the one to the sidewalk area in the front yard. And I remember using that, but I cut a cabbage palm out, and that wasn't strong enough. So I remember using the other one. That's probably why it was sitting there. They probably gotten rinsed off, cleaned.
Sitting where?
It had been. It's probably why it had gotten washed, and that's probably why it was brought back into the house. Normally, it would be with my hedge clipper, my scissors, my little clipper. I usually keep those 4 things together.
So the small chef knife that you're talking about that you were using outside is where now?
I don't recall. It's possible it was left off adjacent to the driveway next to the orange pot of bamboo, which is where I was working with it. I do seem to remember seeing it there. But I honestly don't know.
Is there anything unique about the blade?
What?
Is there anything unique about the blade on that knife?
The orange handled one?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't think so.
Anything different or odd about the blade or its color?
Maybe like an iridescent quality, like gasoline and water, is that what you mean?
Okay. Iridescent color. That's good way to put it. Like gasoline and water when it makes that purple color?
Like a color burst. It has that.
Mm-hmm.
It has that. It's always
It does have that? Okay.
Yeah. That's the one. That is the one that I was using.
And that's the one you think is possibly adjacent to the driveway?
Yes, because that's where I was using it. And I also remember seeing it there after I was using it.
And what day was that?
I remember seeing it there yesterday.
Monday?
Yes.
And that's where you remember leaving it?
That's the last place I saw it. I might have set it on. I also remember seeing it thinking that's a really poor place to leave a sharp knife and thinking I should pick it up and set it someplace, but I'm not sure if I did that. I don't remember seeing it today, but when we walk out that way, it's not the first thing we can see. You have to sort of be looking at that in that direction.
Okay, what do you feel as though, um, Shanti, what might have cost her her life? What do you think happened? What do you think is her cause of death?
I think that she did at some point, and I don't know if it was at the point that she went back upstairs around 9:15, or if she went back upstairs and did something else, and then decided to take a shower. But I think at some point she decided, I'm going to take a shower, and she stepped in and turned the water on, like she always does, to let it heat up. And that's the point that I think something went wrong. Either she slipped or she fell, or
The evidence was undeniable. Shanti hadn't slipped and fallen. She had been murdered. The injuries told the real story. Blunt force trauma to her head and face. Defensive wounds on her hands. No bruising or injury consistent with a fall in the bathroom. The medical examiner confirmed what detectives already suspected. This wasn't an accident. This was a violent, intentional attack. So far, David's story was full of holes. The dry bathtub, the fake crying, the alibi that didn't hold up. But he wasn't done. Let's keep watching, because David still had more to pull out of his sleeve.
sat reasonably and justifiably upset that it's taking longer. Shanti and I aren't fighting about it. We're both upset about the same thing.
Does she feel as though you don't listen to her?
No, I don't think so. She knows I was slow.
That if you would do it her way, things would go
No.
smoothly? No. So you say you last argued on Saturday about you getting ready to go to Max's house and when you were going to leave, etc. Has any fight ever turned physical between the two of them?
No,
Okay. Has she ever hurt you, hit you, struck you, threw anything at you?
no,
No. Have you ever harmed her physically?
no,
Choked her,
no,
strangled her?
no,
No. Have you ever strangled her or choked her during sex just for heightened orgasm? Some couples do that.
absolutely not. No.
Absolutely not. Okay. Was there ever anything around her neck that you noticed during you were moving her from the tub or attempting CPR? Was there anything around her neck at all?
No,
Okay.
no necklace, no, nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Did you ever, if in your assessment of her or attempt to help, have your hand on her neck at all?
Sure, underneath, behind her,
Behind her
Right.
head
like that.
to do
And
the
then-
head tilt chin lift?
Sure, and then also to feel for the pulse of the pigeon.
Okay. Did you ever have your hand on her neck where you would have had to have squeezed it for any reason?
Possibly when I was trying to pull her out of the tub.
Tell me what happened.
As I was trying to turn her over, I might have put my hand under her arm or on the side of her head to try to turn her like that.
She would have been, as we know now, deceased at that point.
Yes.
Okay. So prior to her being deceased, do you have any reason to have your hand around or hands around her throat?
No, absolutely not.
That did not happen.
Absolutely not.
Okay. What do you think caused, or what do you think the injury is to her eye? The discoloration and the swelling.
I don't know. I don't know. I thought that she struck that side of her face because it seemed that she had the cut here and that was underneath the eye. It seemed like whatever it was, however she fell or whatever she hit, that probably happened at the same time.
The cut and the eye injury. Yeah. Do you think there's any sort of significant injury that to her eye itself or to the bones around her eye at all?
I don't have any reason to think so.
Were you ever able to see the whites of her eyes on either eye?
Besides the left eye was closed, as I said.
Okay.
And I believe that the other eye was closed too.
You believe her right eye was closed too?
Yeah.
At this point, the detective had heard enough. The fake tears, the scattered timeline. It wasn't adding up. Her tone shifted. The patience was gone.
While you were out working?
I did not.
Okay. The blood in the bathroom you mentioned was in the tub. Where else in the bathroom did you notice blood?
On the edge of the tub.
Which edge?
By the shelf. And I pushed it looked like there was some on that rug. Not a lot, but some on, there's normally a rug that's in front of the tub itself, and push that back towards the shelf when I grabbed her.
Okay. Was there any blood on the tile wall?
I don't know. I didn't see anything, but I didn't spend any time on it looking.
Okay. Did you notice blood anywhere else in the bathroom?
Did not.
Okay.
I did not. I was only in there for.
Since she was bleeding when you removed her from the tub and you're dragging her face down, is there blood on the carpet in anywhere, any areas that you're thinking?
Oh, I know there's blood in that first spot where I wiped her face because it kept coming off, and I think there was blood on the back, on the side.
You're
somewhere.
pointing to what, the right side of your head?
I'm looking down at her, so it would have been her left side, or it would have been the same side that had her, the same side where the eye and the other cut were. So yeah, I don't know.
So her left?
Correct.
So you're saying there's blood behind the left side of her head? In this area? Like where her hair is?
Correct. Correct, because as I was wiping it off of her, the towel was soaking. There's blood coming off of her at that point.
How much hair did you observe? You said
I saw 2 clumps in the tub, but
floating around the water or where?
After as I pulled her out, so yes, they were floating around in the water, but when her head was down, her hair was pretty much covering the whole front of the tub. It had just spanned out in the water.
Mm-hmm. And where, like, her hair is missing, or what do you mean?
No, I just mean from off of her scalp.
Okay. Is there hair in the tub?
I did notice this, a couple pieces, or a couple clumps
Where?
floating in the water when I pulled her out.
That's significant amount? or no? Like it's been removed from her head, like pulled out of her head?
She normally when you get in the shower after she's had a shower, there's a clump of, I don't know exactly how much, but enough to affix itself to the drain and require after 2 or 3 times to pull it out.
Mm.
We've had to clean the drain. I've probably cleaned the drain in the sink and the tub 2 or 3 times since we lived there because her hair clogged. So
Okay.
she sheds. She seems to shed.
Her injuries to me, David, seem really significant. More significant than from a soft tissue fall. More significant than from me tripping and falling and hitting my head and being knocked unconscious. Not only are they more significant than a fall, but they're inconsistent with a fall. It's just not accurate.
Okay.
Okay. Shanti did not fall and get those injuries.
Okay.
Without question. Okay. They're much more significant than that. And it's inconsistent with her injuries hitting and striking anything. That is just inaccurate. Okay. Her injuries are very severe. Okay. So the trouble I'm having with your story is you're there. Well, first of all, you're not really sharing the same residence. You're kind of living downstairs. She's living upstairs with her son. But her son's not there. So even when her son's not there, you're still not sleeping together. You're not in the same residence. So
during
spending
the day,
spending a lot of time apart, it seems a little bit. But then conveniently you're away for a while and you come back and you find her like this. And you've had some pretty answers for just about everything we've talked about. Consistent, elaborate, detailed answers for everything we've talked. The issue I'm having with is I absolutely think that she was deceased before you left to go to the park. And I think whatever happened to her happened before you went to the park. Okay. Do you know how long it takes someone to get stiff?
So,
Okay, I do. Do you know how long it takes for blood to pool when you die?
no, I don't.
I do. We're also very well trained in what injuries look like perimortem, mortem, and postmortem.
Sure.
Okay? So her body's not lying to us,
Of course not.
and neither are her injuries. Okay? So I think that you've told us a significant amount of information. You've been very cooperative. But I also think that you've left some stuff out. And I think you've left some stuff out that is maybe something got out of hand. Maybe you didn't mean for it to happen. Maybe you got upset. But there's something that happened between the two of you before you left that house. Because she was deceased or on her way to being deceased before you left that house. And she had been deceased while you were gone. And when you came back and found her, it's pretty evident that she was deceased.
Yeah.
Cold, stiff,
Yeah.
significant swelling,
Yeah.
and a lot of bloating.
Agreed.
Okay? So whatever happened between 7 and 9:30 to 9:45 is where I need you to be significantly more honest. Now, if there's an explanation, I want to hear it.
I told you everything.
But you've left out something, David, because this woman has significant injuries. Okay, this is not from a fall. So I need you to explain to me and to Detective McClellan what happened this morning before you left to take the dogs.
It was exactly as I stated. It wasn't, I haven't left one thing out.
Okay. Did you two argue?
No, absolutely not.
Did you fight?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Did you harm Shanti in any way?
Absolutely.
Now, the detective is going to question David in a new approach.
Well, think about what you've told us for a minute. You're an intelligent guy, right? I mean, you obviously had a really good career at 3M, right? And do real estate and sales and now home renovations. You're a bright guy. If somebody was telling this to you, wouldn't you, as an intelligent person, think that something's not right? Something's not adding up here. Because from what you are saying and what we've seen, it's two different things. So we just need to fill in the blanks. And I just need you to help us fill in the blanks. Okay? I know you loved and cared for Shanti, correct? You said, actually, I think that one of the first things I think you said was, I've never been more in love. We had such a good weekend. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And let me ask you about that. You've never been more in love. Like what made you feel that way? What was so great about this weekend that
We hadn't, since the construction started in January, and then the appendicitis in mid-February, a time when either she wasn't extremely stressed and busy with work and uncomfortable with the surgery, and with just despite the delays and everything else, also having the project, which was the most important thing after her company, on track. All of those things, starting with the text on Sunday and the design of the stairway that
yeah, but to say I've never been more in love.
It just seemed like almost all the obstacles had been removed and everything was aligned. It just seemed like we were both agreed on the project. We're both happy with where things were going.
Okay.
We had a great time. We had Jackson. We had some personal time for the first time. And I did have to think about what you said earlier. I certainly have my hands, and always it's a normal. This would be my. There's not. I'm not joking in any way, but I do always have my hands on her shoulder, here and here. That's
From behind or in the front?
behind. I'm behind her, and I would have my hands.
On her shoulders?
Yeah.
In what circumstance?
Intercourse.
Intercourse?
You had asked if there was something during a position where I'd have my hands on her body, and
On her throat specifically.
okay, and I'm saying not both, but you also just said any reason why you would have your hands, and I'm sorry, but I certainly did have my hands here.
And you're saying from behind?
And on top, yeah.
So your Saturday and Sunday, you would have been touching the tops of her shoulders during intercourse.
Mhm.
Okay. Would your hands have any indication? And what I meant when I asked you that, David, is sometimes couples will play that game where it heightens an orgasm if you um, preclude someone from breathing for just a moment right before orgasm. It's like the choking game that they call it, where it heightens an orgasm if you choke one another. Do you ever do that?
We've never done it. And
Okay.
we did see it on an episode of Californication or something like that.
You saw an episode on Californication?
That I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called, but it's never been part of our repertoire or anything we've ever needed to experiment with. You know?
Okay, so that was not something that occurred.
Correct.
Okay, all right, you can go ahead.
So I just want to point out some things to you that I think are unusual. There's so many, I really don't know where to begin, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that I find that the living arrangement, I find to be completely unusual for you to be primarily living downstairs.
I'm not primarily living downstairs.
Well, sleeping.
What I said is that I sleep down there, but I don't go down until we're done with dinner. We're done watching TV or we're done for the evening.
Okay, but
I do sleep down there probably.
okay, just hear me out.
Okay.
So you don't go upstairs during the day while she's working. You leave her alone, and then
Not entirely. I do go up there.
Okay.
But I don't work up there while she's on the phone because it's distracting. It's her office.
okay, and I understand that. But so you're not with her during the day upstairs. You go up there, have dinner, and watch TV, and then you go back down to the garage where the
Only after we've said goodnight and everybody else.
okay. But you're a married couple. I mean, and her son isn't there every night.
And when he's not there, once in a while, but not every night, with her surgery, she was sleeping in a very kind of,
I understand that.
position.
I know you explained all those, but I want to explain to you
It's not
what.
a permanent thing, is what I'm saying. We lived at Bardick, and when we lived with
So
our parents.
that's
she understood
unusual. I think the chain of events today I find to be unusual as far as primarily with what you've said and the contradictions in what you've said as far as the water was trickling to then explaining that the water it can't trickle. It's either all the way on or it's all the way off. There's no adjustment in the speed of the water coming out of the faucet. That was a direct contradiction that you made in your statement. The different versions of how she was in the tub. There's been 3 or 4 different accounts of how she was found, to how she was moved from the tub through the bathroom into the living room or the primary living area. There's been several different versions of that from what I take from listening to you earlier.
I've added more detail, but I don't think that anything, and I'm not trying to, obviously not in a position to argue, but I thought every time you described what I saw, it was the same.
And then the primary thing is the fact that the injuries that this woman, this woman sustained that I saw on her, absolutely 100%, in my opinion, not possible from a slip and a fall in a bathtub. It's,
You got to explain that, David.
it,
You've said a lot. Can I have a chance to?
yeah, absolutely. This is not a one-way conversation.
Okay. Neither. So
Uh,
let's just start. Let's just start.
Start me with the injuries, because that's our biggest concern. Is how do you explain this woman's head being swollen, her eyes being black and swollen, lacerations on her face where the blood has dried this way, yet she's in a tub supposedly full with water, clumps of hair missing from the back of her head.
Missing?
Okay.
I don't have any explanations. This is what I found.
Look, you clearly have no history. We looked you up in every system that I could find. I don't think by any means that whatever happened today was intentional, was planned, what was part of your character, of who you are, by any means. But I know, and you know, that something happened there today that caused this, because it didn't happen from a slip and fall in the bathtub. It didn't happen that way, and you know that. And here's the thing. We have to have some kind of understanding from you. You're the only one that can help us understand what happened. Only you, because it was just you and her that was there today. You have to help us.
And that's why I've tried to answer every question.
But here's the thing, is every time you say tried, it means you failed. And you failed right now at helping us understand that.
I've told you everything.
You're missing parts, though. You're missing parts. Come on.
I would tell you, I have never, ever, and would never, ever hurt her.
I don't think you hurt her on purpose. David, I don't.
I would never hurt her on accident. It's
one of two things today. It was on purpose or it was an accident. You pick. But one of the two things happened. She didn't do this to herself, and there was nobody else there. What are we supposed to think? What you're saying doesn't make sense.
I'm saying I don't know what happened.
So when you pulled her out of the tub, you agreed with me that the water came out of the tub. There's not a spot of water on the floor, David. The carpet isn't wet. The carpet isn't wet from where she was pulled out of the bathtub, sopping wet, all the way around to the front of the couch. The carpet's not wet. There's no blood on the carpet. Average person would think if you pull somebody who has been in a tub with long brown hair, who's bleeding in a, what did you call it, rose-colored water in the tub, and you pull her out, water's going to come splashing out on the floor. It's going to splash onto the toilet, onto the vanity, onto everything in there. The little brown rug that was pushed off to the side is going to be wet. It's not, because that's not what happened. The evidence does not match what you're saying. And I understand that whatever happened today, like I said, was not planned, was not on purpose. Whatever happened, I'm certain was an accident. And that's why none of these details are matching up with what actually was there. So please help us to understand, because if you maintain what you're saying right now, do you understand that it just looks like you just don't care? You just have no remorse, no concern for what happened to your wife. And it's one of, like I said, it's one of two things. She didn't slip and fall. That's out of the picture. It's not a possibility.
What happened?
I don't know. You need to tell us what happened. Did you guys get into an argument? Was she pissed about the house?
No.
Was she, did she catch you with another woman? Did she have a boyfriend? Did the stress of the house? I mean, David, I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't there to hear that conversation. Okay? I wasn't there. And that's why I need your help. You've got to help us understand what happened. Because it's not slip and fall. You didn't pull her out of the bathtub like you said you did. Because there's no water on the floor. There's no splashing of water anywhere in the bathroom. The inside of the tub is dry. Completely dry. The tub doesn't dry that fast. It was warm in that apartment. It's not going to dry that fast. There's no water on the floor. There's no water on the carpet. Nothing. The only place where there's anything wet is underneath that mattress, the mattress pad, and she's damp. She's not even wet. Her clothes weren't even wet. So you didn't pull her out of the tub at 2:50 or 3 o'clock or whatever time. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. You know that. We know that. But what we don't know is the rest of what you know. And you have to help us understand that. What happened to her today? And I understand whatever happened clearly happened earlier today. And I get it. I mean, I'm sure it freaked you out. I'm sure it was very stressful, whatever it was, and you got to figure it out and wrap your head around it. And how am I going to handle this? What am I going to do? Oh my God, it's an accident. But maintaining this.
Just as David thought he had control, the door opened, and a new detective walked in. No pleasantries, no patience. Confident, direct, and armed with evidence, she sat down and went straight for the holes in his story. And oh man, she will tear him apart from his lies.
You guys should, one of you should have already been on the way to get her son. So you're missing a significant amount of time.
What time was it?
I'll discuss that with you at a later time, but it is almost an entire hour.
Okay,
It's your complete.
Go to get him until 4:30.
Mm-hmm. That's what you mean. That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said. Right. That's how I know what time you go to get him.
Correct.
You're missing a significant amount of time. David, you're going to get one shot at telling the truth. And you're really, really making this difficult on us. And it's not going to bode well for you. You're going to get one shot to tell the truth. And it's right now. Okay? It's right now. You've got to tell us what happened between the two of you. This is not looking good for you. Her injuries are way too severe.
I don't have any explanation for her. The severity of her injuries. I don't have any explanation. And that is also the part that frightens me the most. I don't have an explanation for that. I can dig. I can. There's nothing I can do to explain that without making something up, which is not the right thing to do.
For you to see the significance of her injuries up close and personal like you did and come up with this cockamamie theory that she fell and hit her head is just baffling to me that you thought we would believe that. It's just
I don't
baffling.
know. I don't know what happened.
That you had a significant amount of time to come up with something, but to think that we would buy that she slipped and fell in the tub and hit her head, and you saw how significant those injuries were. You saw it up close and personal. You saw the swelling on her face. You described how the severity of her eye, the cuts to her face. To think that we would think that she slipped and hit her head and had a significant eye injury like she does. Both eyes.
Both eyes?
Both eyes. Do you know how those injuries occur to the eyes like that?
No.
You strangled her. And that's what the medical examiner is going to tell us. Because I've already spoken to the investigator. Crime scene folks, investigators were already there. I just got the phone with the medical examiner investigator.
David, detective, something you should know. There's nobody better at domestic violence than this detective right here. She knows what she's talking about. She's seen enough of it in her 20 years that you need to say what happened today. What did she do that made you so mad? Nothing. You just strangled her for no reason.
You're not a cold blooded. It's not like you go around killing women. Okay? It's not like you're a serial killer. Maybe for a brief moment you thought about it. But there was no reason to move her. There's no significant change between where she is in front of the couch and where she is next to the bed. The surface is the same. It's just as hard. You're going to do CPR, you can do it in one place as easily as you can do it in the other. There's no reason to grab the mattress pad. There's no reason to put her on it. There's just no reason for it. And you've tried to explain it away and away and away, and it makes zero sense. You've made some significant errors in whatever plan that you decided to tell us that you've been making up all day. It's not jiving. We're not buying it for 1 minute. You got to tell us the truth, David. This is not looking good for you. And if you want me to go out and prove first-degree murder, I'll make you a cold-blooded killer. It's not a problem. I'll prove you withstood that you were going to finish the house with a 250 thing. Okay, it'll make you look terrible, and you'll end up with nothing, and you'll face the first-degree murder charge. That's not what happened. I don't think you did that. I don't think you're that guy. I've sat toe-to-toe with a lot of murderers who killed their wives and couldn't give a shit. That's not David. David cared about this woman, probably loved her. She's a beautiful lady. Beautiful lady. But we talked to her ex-husband. She's also a bitch. At least that's the way he described it. He told us how she can be. He told us how she can get.
What did you say?
He told us. He told us how she can be. He lived with her. He called her a bitch. More than once. Smart, ingenious, financial whiz, but she can be nasty. We get it. These things happen. Okay? You wouldn't be the first, nor will you be the last. But sticking to this line that you've given us today is going to make you look like a fool. The truth is going to be the only thing that minimizes what happens. It's got to match up, Dave. It has to. It has to be consistent with what we know. And that's how we're going to know the truth when we hear it, because it's going to match.
After hours of rambling, excuses, and fake emotion, silence was all David had left.
In the effort to do that.
All these tangents, all this flowery, fancy language,
answers to
all the
questions that you asked.
details.
To questions that you asked. That's
Many.
I
You
misinterpreted.
know how many interviews I've done in 20 years? Hundreds.
Okay.
Okay? I know the truth when I hear it. Hundreds. Especially from someone who should be acting one way and is acting another. Okay?
It is acting what?
You know, you fake cried for about 7 or 8 hours today. Not one tear came out of your eyes. Not one. Not one. Not on the scene with the officers. Not in this room. You have fake cried over this woman's death since we made contact with you for hours. And every single time you fake cried, we wrote it down. Not one tear came out of your eyes. Not one. Nope. Okay? We've been extremely patient with you for a very long time. I'm losing my patience at this point because there's not a lick of remorse for what you did to this woman. Not even a little bit. Okay? I'm really starting to believe you wanted her dead. And I'm really starting to believe you planned it, David, because not a lick of remorse. Not even a little. You sat there for the last 2 hours and stared at her picture, and you haven't cried. Not one tear. You're staring at a woman you're telling us you're in love with, and you've done nothing the whole time but close your eyes, huddle up, and protect your own ass. And that's all you've done. You've not shed one tear on that picture. Not one. You claim to love that woman. I would be under the fucking table in a ball if I was in love with that woman and she was dead. I would be inconsolable. I wouldn't even be able to utter the words or talk to detectives for 6 or 7 hours like you have. Okay? You've not shed one tear in that picture. And you've been staring at it since she presented it to you 2 hours ago. Over 2 hours ago. You are not remorseful for what happened to her. You could give 2 shits about what happened to Shanti tonight. Okay? I told you she was murdered. Murdered. Someone took her life from her. And there's nothing. You can't even fake it. That's how much you could give a shit. You can't even fake it. I know you think your theatrics and your maybe some drama that you've had in your past was good. It was terrible. The officers on scene didn't believe you, and neither do we. You fucked up. That's the end of it. You screwed up. You made a mistake, whatever it is. I'm starting to believe it wasn't a mistake. I'm starting to believe that David wanted this chick dead. For whatever you might gain, for control, creative control of the house, so you can direct the build. I don't know what your motivation would be, but I know you stand to benefit. I know that the show that's going to happen is now yours. That all the decisions that are made are now yours. The $250,000 you tend to inherit, you can build the house of your dreams. Maybe never work again. I know there's motivation. Is it the accurate motivation? Maybe not. Is it what I'm going to paint you as? Probably. Because there's no more arguments over the house. You have complete creative control. You get the TV show. You get the $250,000. You get it all.
Get anything?
And you get to sleep where you want to sleep. You don't have to sleep in the garage with the
Are you
dogs.
kidding? I don't get anything.
You don't have to deal with her son.
How do you not?
The house is in a trust in your name. You never even filled out the notary paperwork to get her name on it. It's in your name. You understand? You get everything. You don't have to put up with her. You don't have to. She doesn't have to. You don't have to listen to it anymore. You don't have to sleep in the garage with the dogs anymore.
On a couch.
On a couch. You don't have to deal with it. She's finally out of your life, just like you wanted.
Get your Lexus back.
Get your car back. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to listen to her telling you how she's working her ass off and you're not doing shit.
Clean the pool when you want. Not mow the grass.
For 3 years, she's been bitching about it. You know what Jackson said? If Dave would just listen to me, that's what his mom says. If Dave would just listen to me, this would get done. He even mimics her when she says your name. And he does it perfectly, just like Shanti did it. If he just listened to me. But you don't listen. Apparently. She rules the roost. She's a pain in the ass. She wants it done her way.
She wants flat ceilings and flat floors.
Okay? She probably set the bill back by God knows how many months. Because she didn't listen to you.
And bitched about having to live in one room for 18 months.
She bitched about it. Her son told us she bitched about it. His father told us she bitched about it. And she blames you. She has blamed you the entire time. And after 2 or 3 years of hearing her bitch, or 2 years or a year and a half, however long you've been in that house, of hearing her complain every effing day about that house, and blaming you, belittling you, forcing you to sleep with the dogs in the garage.
David Tronis was arrested for the murder of his wife, Shanti Cooper Tronis. He spent years claiming mental instability to delay trial, but in 2023, justice caught up with him. After just 5 hours of deliberation, the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. No spotlight, no dream house, no escape. And Shanti, the woman who simply trusted the wrong man, never got the future she deserved.